republic governed by the rule of law, and there's absolutely no reason why we should be where we are, other than the desire by those in the in power to muddy the waters. And if you have ever, when we were kids, used to play around in ponds, and when you could muddy a pond, what would you see? The rubbish would rise to the top. It's only in calm water when things are organized that the cream rises to the top. So these people are desperate to ensure that the chaos of the neo-colonial state that have ensured that only rubbish rises to the top continues to do so. And so we must be very, very calculating. We must be very, very determined. We must be very, very focused. And Section 3, the people delegate the power, can be directly by referendum. Is registered voters. So it's very, very important for us to realize that we, the people, are the registered voters in Kenya. Not every Kenyan is we, the people. And at that point, we must become serious and get IDs, get voters cards, so that we can take our destiny into our hands. That's what the Constitution says. Without being a voter, your destiny is decided by other people. You could be a citizen, both is the weapon to dethrone the rogue political system. Prosperity, a noble cause that is embodied in our destination of a country within whose borders there's plenty, a country where justice is our shield and defender, a country where we stand up to defend it, a country which must be respected. Kenya is stahili heshima. We have got all those things in our constitution. But you get a government has emerged, a government of August, for August, by August, has emerged to destroy this country so that it can become virtually a basket case. We are surrounded by countries which are in a mess. If you consider that the budget of Kenya alone is bigger than the budget of can demonstrate to the rest of the world that Africans can run their affairs successfully. We are just on the brink. But forces have come up to convert resources into wealth, to convert our human resource, to convert our natural resources into wealth. Independence, there's been no radical measure taken in society where Kenyans can save and invest. It has just been a society of thieves. The most successful leaders, rich people in Kenya today, were either civil servants or politicians, not people who are engaged in enterprise, not people who think about converting 1 shilling to 2 shillings, who create ideas. If you look at our budgets, research and development is relegated to the doldrums. On average, they say give at least 2% of your budget to research and development. Schemes. You have seen people shedding tears. People have saved to invest, shedding tears. You have heard of the scams that have hit our people in the diaspora. to implement a budget passed by Parliament. And Parliament by the president. So basically, the president is the treasurer. And that's why you see that wherever the president goes, it even on elections. Things. It cannot happen. And if you looked at my presidential petition last time, I was able to demonstrate very clearly that at the close of the but the man is president. So we must go back and say the constitution says a presidential election terminates in the constituency that we shall manage to do it. And tomorrow we must come out and march for the soul of this country. Saba Saba is about the soul of Kenya. Saba Saba is about good governance. Saba Saba is about mass prosperity. Saba nchi yetu ya Kenya tunayoipenda tuwe tayari kuilinda. So a republic is an ongoing work. We must not allow them to remove the word republic in the name of Kenya. Either to change it by adding in something else like banana to make it banana. Enda uza mandazi. Wachana na public office. You want to serve the people, well, create a legacy, welcome. Go to public office and
When Tibet Bull was abducted together with other Kenyans when we showed up for a protest in Nairobi's CBD. And his form of protest is kind of different because he goes out there, takes a position, and doesn't budge. Yet, police brutality has not spared him. On June 25th, something similar happened, but the level of brutalization was way higher than it has ever been. He was shot at, people in his team were hurt. I would like for him in the background of us looking at people power, justice, and the possibility of a new Kenya. Let him tell us what it is like and his depiction of the positions that he does.
Well, I think there's an obligation on all of us. I think there's an obligation on all of us to protect the Constitution. Those are the words of Article. Trying to destroy it is denying us our paradise. That's why I've always stood out and said that we must have scared. Moy was a no nonsense guy, but the hunger strike and whatever I did, the Center for Justice or something, public law, were able to put up a vicious fight. Look at the Mau. Look at what these people went through. I went to Nyeri and I walked. I even went and saw where I did, and Kimathi was laid after it had been shot, where grass doesn't grow. I saw it had been to hang together to be able to get to protect their have done. There was also an old man who came up and said, there was Gideon Hengeri, still alive. He said that when the Mauma was on, it was a struggle across the country because there was support from all over the country. The epicenter was in Central, but there was no part of the country that colluded as a region with the white man. Everybody rejected it. So that's what Hengeri was telling us. So he was telling us that when Kenyans have a genuine goal, the tribe is insignificant.
Thank you so much, Senator. And
there's actually a lot of jurisprudence to be learned from there. And so when one of them starts writing a dissertation, I'm sure Okia will be available to be interviewed, because I think it's singular work, it's courageous work, it is really sacrificial work. Because I know there are very many people who want to speak on this. 90, when Ford had come into being, and led by Mzee Jaramogi Odinga, Kenyans were saying now we can't continue in one party, the one party state. We want to reclaim our independence, and we are not going to be stopped by Moi. And as a consequence, those were the days of the young tax. As a consequence, many people lost their lives. There was a lot of bloodshed. And the push for multipartyism continued until the following year, which was 1991. That was achieved. Until the following year, you will remember, from 1969, our country was a de facto one-party state. You know, from 1969 to 1991, by law, we actually had a one-party state. You know, from a lot of repression, detention to 1991, assassinations. We actually all those had things a one-party state that were done. You know, for those who didn't really fight for the independence, as rule said, and to plunder and to do rule all those things that have retarded all those things that have retarded as it our country, even as spirited then as it in 1997, that is when there was the next that is when there was the next Saba Saba momentous Saba Saba. That time now we were reclaiming. That time now we now wanted a new constitution. We now wanted a new constitution, and there was, of course, the National Convention Assembly and its management body, the National Council, Executive Council, and we you know, we did a lot of stuff to really get almost Moi to the brink of getting him out of power. But we actually were agitating for the constitution so that the 1997 Saba Saba was a Saba Saba for the new constitution. And again, we had to wait until 2010 to achieve that new constitution. Now, when the Gen Z come onto the scene, 2024 and now 2025, and there is a June 25th movement, it is actually the sequel movement to Saba Saba, so that in terms of the critical movements that have been now used in our country, it is Saba Saba and June 25th. And of course, it is a fact that the June 25th movement has come with more power. We were a part of them. I was the spokesperson for the National Convention Executive Council, the NCA, and even, you know, we went to where Kimathi was shot. A good age, and I am very hopeful for my country, for our country, that we will not allow ourselves to be a failed state, a banana republic. We want what Oki is saying, this mass prosperity, you know, so that we follow the law, we follow the constitution, we do the things that, you know, even those who fought for Mau Mau wanted, and all those who have fought up to this point. Let me make 2 points, and then I yield. The one very consistent point is those who fought for them ended up not really being part of the leadership. They were elbowed out, they were pushed out by, you know, referee. Even the Gitu up to today is still on the periphery, although he's very influential in terms of advising us what's happening and so on. My battery is almost collapsing, but I will conclude before it does so. So in the Mamo period, those who really fought, those who won, again, when you come to you know, the young Turks who kind of instigated, you know, the change to multipartism, and even those who the NCC times, those young people from universities, you know, and so on. Again, those who came into power are different people. So that there is this tradition, those who really fight, like how Okia is doing, how some other people are doing, there is this tendency that the same group keeps on recycling itself. There is opposition A and there is opposition be leaders, so that as Okia was saying, you are a leader, even some of them are seeking elective positions and so on. Their history, we didn't see anything. So what now I want to tell, particularly Okia, and Okia, please, this is a plea, and please listen to me. The unity that you talked about, this coming together of the progressive people, so that we don't keep on doing Saba Saba. We do June 25, we do that, and then we give the victory to people who will not take us anywhere. And we are pushed on the periphery. So if, for example, and positive people, progressive people who have said they want to be part of the leadership coming forward, and then they're progressives, really saying that now really, change Kenya. And I'm sure if Kenyans see that sign, even other positive people who are held hostage by this, some of these retrogressive parties, and they have been showing signs like Akina Orengo, they will say we want to be where the people are. And so all the best, to all of us. Kenya needs you. Kenya needs us. And I yield.
Great. Thank you so much, Professor Kibwana. That was really inspiring. And I think that subject of conversation about a coalition of progressive forces that is not only new faces, because we have seen new faces coming on board and being sucked into the same old machine that is using the people, but new faces with a different ideology and with sort of clarity of the path that we want to take as a country, and creating this coalition between those who have already shown themselves to be, the leaders of the people on the streets. I think that is a worthwhile endeavor for us to be thinking about, and perhaps Senator Omtatah, you'd like to reflect on that a bit before we hand over to, before we go to Dolphin, who has been waiting for quite a while. So Dolphin, prepare yourself as Senator Omtatah comes in.
Yes, Mamka, thank you for that. I have listened to Professor. I think he has hit the nail on the head that the unity we seek is for us to create. And he has proposed a formula which I think I'm going to embrace. And we'll have a round table with various progressives and see what kind of momentum we can create towards this new country. And as we march tomorrow in the Saba Saba commemorative marches across the country, let all those who watch or those who oppose us know that we are out to reclaim the promise of Saba Saba. We are out to reclaim our sovereignty, the sovereign power of the people. We are out to reclaim justice and the rule of law. We are out to reclaim constitutionalism and democratic freedoms. And ultimately, we are out to reclaim the promise of prosperity within our borders that our founding fathers made in the national anthem. That's our goal. That's the vision of this country, and nobody can take it away from it. So let us get out and march. Let us meet in the streets. Let us speak as one. Let us defend our nation. And earlier on, as Mr. Muthiora said, there has been violence. As I speak, I was with 4 gentlemen who held on to me. When the police opened fire, they fell on me. One sustained 7 bullets. He's still at Kenyatta. Another one 6. He's at Kenyatta. Another one sustained 2 bullets. He was discharged in the leg. Another one sustained 1 bullet. He was also treated and discharged. And so, all those bullets were fired when we were sitting down on Harambee Avenue, on Kenyatta Avenue, outside Teleposta Tower, between Teleposta and Kipande House. So this idea that these people keep on saying that are attacking demonstrators and goons is not true. We were sitting down. We were holding the Kenyan flag. So they opened fire. Now they fired tear gas, and within, I think they're releasing canisters of tear gas. And in that comment, when the smoke is thick, they open fire. They fire through the smoke. So let us not be cowed by that cowardly act. Let us stand firm. But we also have the privilege, some of us, from where I sit, I get even to hear from senior officials in the forces, and they're against the crackdown. They're totally against it. And so there's a small tribal militia that has been forced, been empaneled to try and sow mayhem on our streets. We have an attempt to tribalize the police command, especially in Nairobi, whereby most senior officers are from a tribe, one ethnic community, and they disobey the police structure. Most of them are OCSs, they disobey the OSPDs. They take command directly from Lagat, who is back in office as we speak, and who thinks that because we have buried Albert Ojwang, we have buried him, and so life continues as normal. So let us come out, let us march, let us be peaceful. And as somebody observed that on the space as I was listening, there were two ways June 25th was commemorated last week. There was one side, Moy Avenue to the other side, or Tromboy to the other side was a different ball game. While this other side, where the people who really were demonstrating were, no shop was looted, no phone was stolen, everybody was peaceful. And people just marched, but the police interfered, the police brutalized us. The other side, they brought in goons who did what they did. And let us keep peaceful, let us keep organized. And I pray that the police and the administration take a leaf from what happened in Mombasa and what happened in Busia on that day. In my own Busia County, the county commissioner and the police commander led the demonstrations and guided the people, and people were able to demonstrate, people were able to commemorate their day, and they went home peacefully. I pray that, and the same thing happened in Mombasa. I pray that tomorrow in Nairobi, we see the same thing happening, whereby the police band comes out and leads the demonstrators who are demanding that we get good governance and we get a prosperous country, and we get a country that can be respected, a country that can command respect, a country that can compete globally, a country that does not need anybody's aid to stand. And that way we shall be progressing in this country. So I still appeal to those policemen, I appeal to our security forces, even the military men who have been put on standby, as we have been told. There's no need to come out on the streets. Nobody's armed on the streets. People are just asking for what's in the national anthem. People are just asking that we use the constitution to go to the national anthem and get the promised land which we were given. Right now we have been taken to Babylon, we got independence, we got the promised land, but we have been taken captive by our sins, we are in Babylon. We need to get back to the promised land. We need to reconstruct the temple from Babylon, not from Misri, not from Egypt. We finished that with the Mau Mau. Our journey right now is from Babylon back to Jerusalem for those who read the Bible. And that one needs Nehemiah. That one needs skilled people, not warriors. They need skills. And we have those skills, and we are crying that give us an economy where we can exercise our skills. Let us stop importing roads from China. Let our Kenyan engineers build roads instead of rotting in the houses. That's what people are demanding. That's what the Gen Z are demanding. And so, with those few remarks, I hand back to Momka so that I can hear the next speaker. And thank you all.
Thank you so much, Senator. So Dolphin has been waiting for a while. So we'll have you speak, Dolphin. And then we have Sunguoyo, who is the spokesperson for Kongamano la Mapinduzi. I would want to invite him to make remarks specifically on the experience of those who have been mobilizing the movements that have been on the front line of the streets, and the sort of intimidation that they have been experiencing over the last couple of weeks, with an intensification over the last couple of days. Even as Senator said, that the army has been put on standby to respond, which is clearly a disproportionate response to Saba Saba protest by unarmed, peaceful Kenyans. So as you reflect on that, Sungu Dolphin, you're welcome to speak.
Thank you so much, Mamka and other panelists, Professor Kiuta and Okia. Thank you so much, Senator. I'm actually on transit, but I'll be there tomorrow. I've never missed Mandamano because I know how painful it is, all that we are going through in the country. I just have a question to Mheshimiwa about the protests. I'd like to know is it really possible to do protests like if we can have it throughout the week, because clearly these people are not listening to us, and as you can see, coming with the protest like in a month, once in a month, or maybe twice in a month, or thrice, it is not something that is working. So I was thinking if we come up with a plan of having at least even for 3 days straight, nothing going on, like it is just total shutdown. Is it possible? And another thing, I'd also like to talk about. How do we call it? The police brutality. How are we going to counter this? Because already I could see there are some people who have been paid. These are the goons, and I know by tomorrow they'll come together. They'll merge together with the police to fight peaceful protesters. How are we going to encounter that? So, being that I'm on transit, I'm not able to talk much, but I'll be listening so that I get the answers for questions that have placed posed. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dolphin. Actually, the questions that you have asked, I will direct them towards Sungu, who's welcome to now speak.
Thank you, Comrade Mapka, and many thanks to everyone who's on the call. My name is Sungu Oyo, and I serve as national spokesperson of Kongamano la Mapinduzi. I think struggle does not arise out of a vacuum, and comrades, we really have to be clear about that. Instances throughout history where repression has reared its head has actually bred resistance, because that is the dialectic of resistance. Resistance doesn't arise out of a vacuum. Resistance arises out of people feeling left out, people feeling alienated, people feeling that they are not part of ongoing processes in society, which is what is happening in Kenya today. We have more than 60 million Kenyans in this country, but the state and the government at the present moment are acting like the country belongs to 5 people or less. And so it is a struggle for our very lives. And because tomorrow is Saba Saba, as Professor Kibuta Kibwana was speaking, I was reminded of Kundera's, the writer, his quote that the struggle of people against power is the struggle of memory against forgetting. And so for our generation, I think one of the first things that we have to do, and which we do, and which we are doing, is to recognize those who came before us and the contributions they made as part of our forward march into history. And today, the Gen Zs have come up with new formulas of organizing. In as much as there is no mathematical formula to organizing, they have really upped the tempo in terms of organizing and mobilization. And they have shown that the people are the motive force of history. It is the people who create history. It is the people who fashion history. We see Raila calling for a rally at Kamkunji. He's called for a rally tomorrow. We see Gachagua and other ethnic bigots also trying to jump into the Gen Z, let me call it wagon. But we know that Ruto, Raila, Gachagua, all of them are part of the same old order of the ruling class. And I think what this generation has tried to make clear is that they all belong to the filthiest dustbins of history. And in the process of creating a new Kenya, they have to create space for us to reimagine society, for us to reimagine the kind of country that we want and the kind of future that we want for ourselves. You know, I come from Kisumu, and in Kisumu, there is a proverb, because it's near the lake. There is a proverb that no matter how long a frog stays in water, it cannot turn into a crocodile. So the Moi orphans cannot today come and tell us that they are part of the process of creating a new Kenya. That would be, it would actually be idiotic of us to believe them. We would be, tutakuwa tunatumia akili kama kofia, na wajua akili si kofia, si chombo ya kukinga shingo isipigwe na jua. Akili lazima itumike kuendeleza jamii, kuendeleza the processes in society. Nikimalizia, Mamka, though I'm not sure whether I've answered your question or not. One thing we have to be really clear about, comrades, is that the old Kenya is dead. The young people are tired of dying. The The young people are tired of getting killed. The young people are tired of burying each other. We have to work towards creating new worlds of dignity. Na nafikiria the new Kenya, hata kama tunaongelea the Fourth Republic, we must specifically look at three particular things: peace, justice, and dignity, because those are what the new society should be anchored on. Now, our struggle is literally aimed at those three objectives, because we are not the harbingers of violence on the street. Violence inaletwa na the state and people hired by the state. The conveyor belts of violence actually on the street are the Kenya Police Force. Kwa sababu kila siku wakitokea wanajiita police service lakini wanatuua. That is not a service. That is not a service. So au pia tutaongea story yao siku nyingine, lakini kwa leo I think sisi tunaangalia peace, justice and dignity. Those are the things on which our struggle is anchored. Kwa sababu we have been dispossessed and disenfranchised for so long. For so long, tunaishi under neo-colonial state, which in many ways, especially in recent years, if you look keenly, you see that it's fashioned in the image of the colonial state. Sasa, will we exchange a white colonialist for a black colonialist? If these people report to their masters across the ocean, let them go and report to them. Sisi now, kitu tunawaambia ni sisi mtatuacha tukae huru. And so the only thing I can say is that, comrades, please do not be intimidated. In our organization, Kongamano la Mapinduzi, 3 members of our leadership were arrested and taken to court last week. Comrade Generali, Comrade Garang, Comrade Chibukati. And we all know that they've done nothing. They're being charged with having caused all the violence. Yet we all know they've done nothing. I think the one thing we have to recognize is that our struggle is a just and righteous struggle. Secondly, we have to recognize that the people are the motive force of history. It is the people who create history. Sasa sisi tutokee kesho kwa sababu it is the people who are our mountains. So pia tusitishwe, tusiuziwe uoga, tutokee kwa sababu hii mambo yote ni our constitutional obligation. Actually under Article 10, tuonyeshe patriotism. I think showing up for Saba Saba is one of the highest forms of patriotism, because we are simply asking the system stop killing us. Secondly, it is also part of our generational responsibility to create that new society for ourselves and our children. Nitaachia hapo, ndio nisiongee sana. Asante sana, comrade, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Sungu. But before we go, we have to answer Dolphin's question as she's on her way to Nairobi. She says, I'm not sure where she's coming from. She says, what is happening now is not working. And I'm not sure what working means in her construction of the question. Could we instead do this on a daily basis until our ends are achieved? So could you answer that part of the question before you leave?
Kitu tunaweza sema ni maybe just to pick up from something I mentioned earlier when I was speaking a few seconds ago, that our struggle is a just and righteous struggle. Our struggle is also a clash between the oppressors. On the other side, we have the oppressed. The oppressors are not sleeping any day of the week. Our struggle is also a clash. You cannot engage in struggle as a part-time process. I think lazima tu tuendelee kukanyaga miguu, accelerator hiyo nini ya mafuta. How do you call it? Yeah, it's called the accelerator. I think we have to continuously put more energy on the pedal and push forward. Struggling or protesting for one day can be a show of might, but then we have to recognize that this is a system built over a long period of time. Recognize that this is a system built over a long period of time, and uprooting it means that our struggle must also be a protracted process. And so until we are able to, at least on the minimum, achieve the most minimum of our demands, it cannot be a one-day process.
Thank you very much. So now let me hand over to those who have been waiting for a while with great thanks for your patience. Odinga Andrew, are you on? Those of you on this who already have speakership, just raise your hand if you're ready to speak, and I'll hand the mic to you. Foreman, are you with us? Chesongol Joshua.
Okay, I'm not in a position, but I'm part and parcel of tomorrow.
Perfect. Now I see we have Wanjiru online. I'd like to invite her to speak, but before she does, because Professor Kibwana, I see your charge has not disappeared yet. You're still with us. If you're with us, I think it would be good for you, given that you are such an active part of the second liberation and the struggles that you went through. There might be some tips and some thoughts that you have for the Gen Zs today that might be helpful in achieving the goals of the struggle. We have lost so many. We have bled as a country. We are all traumatized. And what we're experiencing, I think, is in many ways far more bloody than what the country has seen in a long time. So maybe you have some reflections you can make as Wanjiru prepares herself and her remarks.
I think, Ma'am, what I can say is, first of all, the scale of the current uprising is greater than what happened in the 90s because of the possibility of mobilizing on ways which were not, because we used to we used more of physical ways of organizing. You see, even the radio or TV, they were careful not to be used for purposes of mobilization because the regime then could not allow media, and even there was a time they would shut them completely so that there was only KBC in operation. So the scale of organizing, even the scale of people coming out is massive. And similarly, the scale of the violence, because in the 90s, there was an attempt always to look for the more older organizers and arrest them, beat them up, get them to go into exile and so on. And of course, although some of the students, especially university students, were chased from the university, even in prison, but on the whole, it was the older generation that was being targeted. But this time, we have seen now the young people are very viciously, targeted. I think in the 90s, we used even to have marshals, and we would think through how the demonstrations would happen, so that there was an element of also organizing them in, if I can say, a scientific way, so that we would be able to say the do's and the don'ts, something that Law Society, through faith, previously, had been doing, like saying what are the do's and don'ts, and even how to combat some of those goons, so that it's not just a question of fighting back, but a question of ideologically trying to influence them, and even from the places where we knew they were coming from, we would also try to have a conversation with them and invite people from those areas into the meetings of the NCA meetings into civic education, because you have to turn around. The people will be used. And I like the point that Okia made about the police, that there is a sense in which some of the police are getting tired. Some of the police, because we tried also to make friendship with some of the police and to tell them that, we are really fighting even for their rights, the rights of all Kenyans. And that's something that requires, tact, because if you demonize all the police, then that is not right, because there are some who don't, like what is happening, and that has to be taken into account, although eventually there'll have to be massive reform of the police service. So I think the more the progressive forces organize together and make debates together and conversation together, that is how, even in terms of, how you do demonstrations, because it's true, as Sungwa said, you cannot do demonstrations for too long. People get tired, because they have also to earn and so on. So you have to get demonstrations to also be supplemented by other organizations. And that is what I was trying to plead with Okia, that, the common organization that is seen, it also protects people. It moves forward fast. When people, are arrested, hurt, injured, and so on, something that is also being done by Law Society, treatment, IMLU, the doctors, and so on and so forth. So that there is an infrastructure of protecting, of organizing and protecting people, because it is constitutional rights. The people are not, they are not like, doing stuff which is outside the law and the constitution. But what I can say is, these young people, if you don't have a job, if you don't see a future, if you are disempowered, even when you have your education, when you are not without your education, actually, just to conclude, I realized today that when you look at even people at the universities, you find that the young people, the boys, are like a third, and 2/3 are girls. And this is something that is kind of in most of these higher learning institutions, meaning that these boys who, dropped, who, felt that even when you have this education, you are not going to get anywhere. So it is no wonder a lot of them now are coming into the streets everywhere in the country, because they have realized that they have very little to lose. And, they have been pushed to almost nothingness. And so that is why, even like the mothers, when the mothers at Kenya Human Rights Commission were saying it is necessary to, to have a dialogue, and even for the youth themselves to have their dialogue, and then say that this is our dialogue, these are our points, this is what we want from Kenya, and Kenya can't continue thinking that we are not present and we are not citizens. So I don't know, maybe I've said a few things that can be of assistance, but what I know is the system must realize that there is no way of stopping these young people. They are going to have a different Kenya from the Kenya of the past. And indeed, to encourage middle class, who are also hurting very much, to encourage professionals, to encourage everybody, so that we do Harambe for the Kenya that Tokia was saying is a Kenya of mass prosperity. I yield.
Thank you so much, Professor. I think the idea, the vision, the dream of a Kenya of prosperity is one that I think a lot of people may be tempted to give up on, especially during such trying times. And on that note, I want to hand over to Wanjiru, who is now my co-host, to make some remarks. And she also has reflections on her own experience on the streets for many, many years. She's one of the veterans of organizing on the streets. And so she may have some thoughts that she would like to share with those who are here, maybe those who've never been to protest before, and those who are planning to go tomorrow. But in addition to that, Wanjira, I would like you to also reflect on the position we find ourselves in as Kenya today, where there is mass disillusionment to the point where even where the imperial international bodies are recognizing the challenging position that Kenya finds itself in. with a leadership that is hell-bent on breaking the country so that it can split open its coffers and take whatever it wants for itself. And they have shown very clearly they have no regard for human life. They have no regard for the sanctity of the Constitution or for the rule of law. They have no regard even for the morality and ethics that binds us together as human beings. And for that reason, we find ourselves in a position of it is actually quite a crisis, in fact. And you may have some reflections on this as someone who has been organizing amongst the masses for quite a while, and on the way, and on what we should be thinking about as we go into tomorrow and as we go into this period of political history. Come in, Wanjira.
Well, thank you very much, Mamka. Greetings to everybody on the space tonight. This is actually a really good space. I'm really enjoying the reflections that every single person is coming in on them. Now, my input would be, we are at a very critical point as a country in that we are forced to decide. Are we going to let this man destroy this nation? This man who was given power by fellow Kenyans, was donated to our power by fellow Kenyans to implement the Constitution of Kenya 2010. If you remember the time he was doing campaigns, he was saying this is a government of the poor people, this is a government of bottom up, and a lot of our people were gullible and actually did vote in this government. It has been a government that has killed us, that has stolen from us, that has disrespected the Constitution, that has zero regard for human life. We are at a point where we are asking ourselves, is this really how we want to go? And we have the Constitution. It was not given to us by Ruto. It was the people of Kenya who gave themselves this constitution that gave them all sovereign power. This is why they have to come and ask, can you please donate some of your power so I could lead you to prosperity, to respecting human life, to respecting the rule of law. So everybody needs to come out tomorrow knowing that this is my patriotic responsibility in protecting the Constitution of Kenya 2010, in protecting the fellow Kenyans, because if not so many people turn up tomorrow, the goons might be too much for other people. So we need to come out in protection of each other. Previously, we have been able to deal with goons because of the numbers that we have had. So it is very important that we come together and tell Ruto that you're going to respect this country, you're going to respect the Constitution, you're going to respect human life, you're going to respect Kenyans. Otherwise, we are going to force you to go, because this is our nation. Nobody is going to defend Kenya if not the people of Kenya. Nobody is going to defend the Constitution if not the Constitution of Kenya. And these people are actually a minority. They are given power, donated power by the majority, who are us. So we cannot sit back, criticize them online, tweet about them online, but when it actually matters, we don't show up on the streets. We must be able to fight the fear that we are fighting. I remember Ngugi has written in his book that great fear breeds misery in the land. If given a chance, this man is going to breed so much misery in this country that we will forget what Kenya looked like. I cannot believe that today mothers of victims were disrupted by goons when they're doing their presser at the Kenya Human Rights Commission today. This is not something we want to see. We cannot allow a repeat of a dictatorship of Moi that happened. We cannot allow a disregard for the Constitution, because then Moi had all the sovereign power. Right now, it is the people that have all the sovereign power. There is a clear difference that that seems to be lost on the current crop of leadership, on the current crop of the executive, and even the judiciary. I think we, the people, need to assert our sovereignty in a way that can never be questioned, in a way that we are forcing that they implement the Constitution. And we need to mean business this time. We need to be very serious, because we cannot continue losing life. We cannot continue facing abductions. My own family is now faced with threats. Policemen went to my mother's house. They're charging her of ridiculous things. My brother was hit by a panga. They're now coming at even people who are our safe places. They're coming at people who are dear to us to try and stop us from fighting for a better country, to try and stop us from telling them the truth that they are destroying our country, and we will not be intimidated. We are not going to stop. We will not stop defending the constitution, the rule of law, the sovereignty of the Kenyan people, and the sanctity that is our country. A lot of people have gone through this path. A lot of people have fought. This morning I was reading about Elijah Musinde, who fought all his life, not only the colonial government, but also the neo-colonial government of Moi. He spent 12 years in prison, fighting against cultural imperialism, against foreign domination of our country. Today, Ruto cannot be dominating us, cannot be killing us, cannot be stealing from us, cannot be disregarding and disrespecting us, and we just call him out on social media. I think tomorrow it needs to be a day that we are asserting our sovereignty, that we are reclaiming our soul, as Senator Omtatah had said, and we need to figure out a way that we bring all of us progressive forces together. I agree with you, Professor Kivuta, that we need to organize and consolidate, because these other retrogressive forces, they are also organizing and consolidating. And unless we are organized, we are not going to be able to uproot this system that has been organizing for decades to keep us oppressed, subjugated, exploited. We need to be able to come together in a way that is long-term, in a way that's systemic, in a way that actually births a new republic. We are tired. We are tired. Before we started doing the Saba Sabas in 2018, of course, following from the Young Turks in 1990, it was because of the oppression that we were living through. These extrajudicial killings that we see today, that Boniface Mwangi would be shot on the street selling masks, were lived realities to us 10 years ago. A young man would be walking, they are shot dead. And because they live in the ghetto, it is okay. They will be framed as a thief, and that's it. We are tired of the extrajudicial killings that have been happening. We are tired of the police brutality. We are tired of the normalized poverty. We are tired of the lack of basic amenities our people are forced to endure in this land of plenty. We want to be able to live a different reality and recognize that only we, the people, can bring about that reality for ourselves. So I'm encouraging us to come out tomorrow. I will be on the streets myself. I'll be at Fixing the Nation in the morning, and immediately after that show, I'm going to the streets because it is Saba Saba. It is a day to reclaim our country, to reclaim our power, and hopefully a process that has begun for us to birth a new republic. I jailed. Thank you so much, Mamka, and let us lose our fear, guys. This is our country. Kenya is home. Mam,
Thank you. Thank you so much, Wanjira. That was so inspiring and exciting, actually, to think that the task ahead of us is one that we are very capable of accomplishing. So there are a few people online who have been speakers who have been waiting for a while, and I would like to thank you for your patience. Let's start with you, Economist Muraya Gishuhi, if you're here. And in the meantime, if any of you are there and you're ready with your comments, just raise your hand so I know who is prepared to speak. But Economist Muraya, if you're there.
Seems like Jahom is ready to speak. Jahom,
Go for it.
Thank you so much, the handler of Busia Senate. I think Omtatah with the host. Wanjira, I've seen you there. I've heard you speak very passionately. I can see Kivuta Kibwana, the former governor, there, and other speakers, other listeners who are listening to us this evening. Good evening. I hope you're all right. I hope you are charged. I hope you're ready for the long day tomorrow. It's another day that we are here. We don't like to go to the streets, but we are here. We have to do it because it's what it is. It's very unfortunate that we have to do it. It's very unfortunate that it's the language the government understands. The government of the day has decided that this is the language they understand. This is the book we have to read, and this is the exam that we have to sit for. And it's what it is. We have to, if it's what is needed to change the shape of the country, to change the dynamics and the systems of our nation, then we have to do it. It's a time that we have to rise up. You know, and I heard today. I was very sad. I heard the CS again saying that police, everyone should be peaceful. Those are the demonstrations. For sure, we are always peaceful. We are always peaceful. It has been all and every day in this country that every time people come out to express their issues, come out to exercise their democratic right, it's the political class who must find a way to infiltrate the protests. The protesters are always very peaceful. It's the political class. Today, you also what happened at the NHCR press briefing. Goons were armed, and I normally come to these places to give an intelligence briefs, and I can tell you today, goons are being arranged. But it's what it is. This is what we have faced in this CBD every day. Goons are being arranged because the feeling of the national intelligence, the security apparatus, they are imagining that someone is paying us, someone is using us to go to the streets. I can confirm that I have never received even a shilling. I have never received even a penny. I am doing it for. If you ask 99% of us, for me, it's out of our passion for this country. We've seen systems work elsewhere.
Just allow me to butt in, just to set the record straight, my fellow from Homa Bay. The crop of Kenyans who are agitating for good governance and accountability, in fact, are willing to pay. Wanangoja tu waonyeshwe ni wapi watalipa,
exactly,
ili wapate chenye wanataka.
Exactly. So it's just this clique of politicians. They must always find a way to create a narrative and to think that the narrative is the truth. But then, if you look at the ground, if you look at these people, if you meet these protesters in the CBD, you wonder who will pay that multitude. And it is again tomorrow. Tomorrow the issue has to be. I want to advise all of us, serial numbers. Usiji-isolate Bali. Don't isolate yourself. Don't work in isolation. Because the trick of these people is tomorrow they're gonna harm the goods with buttons, with masks, and every kind of weapon. We come to the streets in peace. We gonna demonstrate peacefully and unharmed. That has been our song. If they want to bring the goods, we will be there. We will be there. We have always been there. And I have the CS saying, "Oh, Saba Saba," and the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, is now giving lectures. How we should obey Saba Saba. Saba Saba is a day that agitated Kenyans who wanted free elections went to the streets on the 7th of July 1990. Heroes of this country, likes of Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, they were tired of the regime. And they were not tired because of just a single thing, not just that free and fair elections was just one of the issues they went on the streets for. It was a collection of many things that we are facing now. The police brutality. Like for us, the people of Homa Bay, we have won the biggest brand. They say we are in government, but look at us. Very many people have been killed from Homa Bay. Very many people, not fishermen in police cells, not students. We are on the receiving end. But what do the MPs say? We are in government. It is them who are in government. It is not the common people. And for that matter, I want to advise everybody. I want to urge everyone. It is a democratic right. It is sometimes you have to demand for what is rightfully yours, regardless of who and the force that comes your way. You have to demand for it. And in Kenya, I can tell you, we are known to be the center of democracy. We are not going to allow this country to descend into our neighbors, Uganda, Tanzania, and I'm not afraid to mention them. who have allowed their country to go to the dogs. We are not going to allow William Ruto. We are not going to allow Raila Odinga. We are not going to allow these people like Kimani Ichung'wah. I hear he's now called Kimani Machung'wah. We are not going to allow Kimani Machung'wah and his clique of members of parliament to take this country like so Farouk Ibet. Look at how much money Mr. Soprano is dishing out. What is mshahara yake ni pesa ngapi? Hii pesa, if they are honest, if this is not corruption, hii pesa kabla waingie kwa power, why were we not seeing them going to donate these sums of money? Why? All of a sudden, wako kwa power, wanaiba pesa left, right, and center. People are jobless. Corruption is triple in this government. In fact, I dare say this is the worst government. This is the worst government in the history of Kenya. It's the worst. People like Farouk Kibet is now powerful. And atatoa hiyo pesa wapi? Every time, mimi ni nama, si nama. Mimi fanya sifa. Hiyo pesa yote anatumia na hizo machopa zote. Where does Farouk Kibet get the money? To an extent that the guy is now building a church. I mean, we can't be so foolish. Man, we can't be so foolish, man. He's building a church. The problem is not building a church. No. You know, he's a very big fool. He takes us for a ride. We have no problem with building a church. Let him go use his money and build churches in Sugoi and everywhere else. We will go to worship. I am a Christian. I have no problem with him building a church. But for heaven's sake, State House is a symbol of national unity. If you're building a church, are you building a mosque? What are you going to tell the Muslims? They will need a mosque. They are also Kenyans. What are you going to tell the other believers? This man is a fool. There is nothing else. This man thinks that this country is narrow-minded. In fact, no wonder he is supporting Sakaja because I am doubt if this man got a degree. This man, nikiona huyu jamaa, mimi I switch off my television. I hate this man seriously. Because when you are telling everybody that you are building a church, 1.2 billion, pesa yako mwenye umefanyia kazi, 1.2 billion. Uliuza kuku, ukaingia parliament, Eldoret North. Sasa kuna 1.2 billion you are using to build a church. Mjinga ni nani? This no wonder he banned people in Kiambaa. This man banned people in Kiambaa. This man killed Mesha Kibei, who was a witness in the ICC case. This man knows what happened to George Saitoti. This man knows what happened together with Moses Kuria. They know what happened to Chris Musando. This man, mtu mmoja tu hivi tu anatusumbua, mtu mmoja tu hivi kama mtu tu. We have to come out tomorrow. It is not, my good people, your generation. Mtu kamoja tu, just one person. Umeua watu kama Saba. Meshak Yebei is gone because of him. Jacob Juma is gone because of him. Watu karibu 50 alichoma pale kanisa pale Kiambaa. Surely, how much blood does this man want only to drink? This is the time. Wacha niwaambie majamaa. There is nothing like Raila Odinga is in mwenye kwa serikali ni Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga has got a problem. Anasalimia kila mtu. Alisalimia Moi, akasalimia Kibaki, akasalimia Uhuru, sahi amesalimia Ruto. Hata mimi kesho nikiwa rais, anataka tena kupeleka hiyo mkono. Look at what this country needs to heal from these old people. We are tired. In the morning, I was watching Budamad. He was saying, this country is being led by like Burkina Faso, with the major generals. It's not good. For heaven's sake, what value is office of the Prime Minister adding value to us as Kenyans? Ukipea Mbadi waziri for finance, how is it helping me pale on the constituency? Idea aje? I don't mind if Mbadi is the prime. I don't mind who is the CS. I just want fair distribution of resources. Even if Ruto will pick all the CSs kutoka Sugoi, I have no problem. It is not. It is the systems are meant not to work by these few people. Look at when Moses Wetangula, the National Assembly Speaker, he's supposed to be neutral and neutral. They are now campaigning. Kenneth Marede set the bar so high. Yeah? And then they are saying, this is not about Gen Z. Me, I'm not Gen Z. I am a bit older, I'm not Gen Z. This is not about Gen Z. This is Gen Zote. No one is happy with this government. The only person who is happy with this government is William Ruto himself and Kimani Machungwa. Those two people are the only people who are nobody msidanganywe ati hapa tuenjiwa ati usifikiria ati huku Rift Valley hakuna. I speak to our friends in Rift Valley, hakuna. Usidanganywe ati zira ila kwa serikali kesho. Let us get these people. Our goons will come. Let us also goon them. Tomorrow, if they bring goons, we also goon them. Eh? That's what I can say. But I'm very mad. Nikki Maliza, I'm very mad about these people. I'm tired of this government. I can't breathe.
We hear you, and I think the theme of rage, righteous rage, is what we have had in pretty much every comment we've had, every remark that we have had today. It is what you read when you go online. It is what you hear when you're talking to your friends. Rage. The country is in deep righteous rage, and I think it is good for us to give some of that rage a platform here today. And thank you so much for those remarks. Let us move on to Culture Kenya Media. I don't know if you're on, and if you are not, or whether you're on, we can be followed by Farah Omar Abdi.
Okay, yeah, I'm on. And I was there for the last protest in June of last year. Shortly thereafter, I went outside the country. And kile kitu nilikuwa nataka kusema is how much I'm so angry when Ruto is out here telling people the solution is shipping people outside the country. The country is anti-immigrant. Everywhere you go, nobody wants to see foreign people in their country. Okay, and instead of when Ruto travels to come here to tell us, come back home, build our country, because the best Kenyan doctors, that means I meet Wahindi doctors from Kenya, the best lawyers, a lot of people are here. And instead of him telling people, come build your country, he's trying to ship people. And I've always told people, whenever you're trying to travel, especially to these Arab countries, please know your history, because the Arabs, it's not the Wazungus who enslaved East Africans. The Arabs are the ones who enslaved us. And most of them, even the reason why you don't see a lot of Africans in those Middle Eastern countries who have grown there is then when they were being enslaved, they were castrated. So I'm so angry at that, because we have everything that we need in our country, but you see people trying to be shipped out. It's almost like a slavery. And I've seen when Ruto carries his delegation in foreign countries, these ambassadors and these governors and the presidents of different countries who are Wazungus, the first thing they tell our president and these idiots is, you have a lot of resource. And they ask, what resource? They say, oh, are the young people are your resource? And so instead of Ruto coming back and thinking how he can improve that resource, he's thinking, oh, the resource, I'm going to ship it so I can get money. And then they are shipping it and starting employment agencies themselves. And when you're shipping these Kenyans out here, they are being, they're not being treated properly. So ile kitu nilikuwa nataka tu kusema, nasikia uchungu sana, when you meet these people, when you travel, unaambiwa, why are you not in your country? Why are you not fighting for your country? Why don't you go back to your country? Imagine, you know how bad you feel, and you're trying to stand up for Kenya and say, our country is good. Well, why are they stealing everything? Yeah, somebody with a $20 million a watch and red bottom shoes. Alafu watu wako kwa in classes I feel there's so much anger, and this is what I'm saying, and I'm glad Omtatah is here. That I can count myself as a diaspora, although I don't stay so long in the diaspora. I'm always in Kenya and back and forth. Is that it is projected by the year 2028, the diaspora will be sending equivalent to 1 trillion shillings in Kenya. And part of that money, because a lot of people are raising money, is money also that we can contribute to once we find a candidate that we can help push and contribute money towards that candidate. And also towards anything that happens during these demonstrations, as far as the people who are injured, I've always contributed. So we need to push more for that so that we are more organized. And also, I want to talk to the men who are going to demonstrations. Please look out for our women. Please protect them. Really protect them, because I had some incidents that happened last time. Women are really needed in this revolution, and I like how eloquent and good and how they put across their points. So tafadhali, wasichana wako 3-4 together, like, hey guys, join us. Let's all be together. And if you're a man, please protect our women. That's all I wanted to say. But I'm so angry at this administration and what they've done to our country. And guys, the last point is, I see us almost making the same mistake about people who we are talking that we are going to vote for. Please, the only people I honestly put my foot forward is Omtatah and maybe the former, was he a chief justice or something? I don't know. And those are the only people. Otherwise, we need to purge the system so that we can have a new crop of leaders. Remember, Egypt had to go to the streets twice. So thank you for the opportunity. My points can't come across because of how angry I am. The solution is not foreign countries. The best bet, the best country, and I've traveled to a lot of countries, the best country to be in is your own country, where you're seeing your own people who look like you, who speak your language. It's not going to foreign countries where it's cold, people don't speak your language, and they tell you, what's wrong? Why don't you go back to your country? It's very hurtful when somebody tells you like that. So let's build our country, and thank you so much for the opportunity.
Great, thank you so very much for your remarks. And on the point of exporting labor, a certain amount of madness, the podcast that I host, has an episode we released about 2 or 3 months ago that tackles the question of why it is Kenyan and other African leaders find a solution in the unemployment crisis in shipping out our young people in what looks very much like a repeat of the slave trade, except that this time it is state-sponsored. It is a lack of imagination. It is a lack of creativity. It is one of the fruits of living under imperialism, where capital outflows, or rather material outflows from Africa, are also followed by the outflow of human bodies. We are renting them out there, and we are getting remittances, but we cannot be renting out young Kenyans who we could put to work in our country to build this nation. And for that reason, it would be good for Senator Omtatah to speak once again on his plan to build the productive sector should he be able to take the highest office of the land. But before we come to that, let's give a chance to some of the other speakers who are online. We have Farah Omar Abdi, and then we'll be followed by Sam. I hope you're both online.
Yes, I am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. We can hear you. Go on.
Thank you, Mamka. I think we need to, before even reclaiming the promise of Saba Saba, I think we first of all need to reclaim our nationality, what it means to be a Kenyan, what it is to be a Kenyan. Nini dhamana ya kuwa Mkenya? Because a lot of us have decided to live in this country and in these lands as though we are on transit. you do not care what's happening every day. It's as though you're waiting to go somewhere else. You cannot, one thing we have to agree upon and come on a consensus is you cannot delegate your duties to these lands, nor can you delegate your patriotism. Those are things that are impossible. They are your responsibilities. It is basically one thing that we have to all agree upon is what kind of a country do we want to have in case you're not successful, in case you're not materially and financially okay. What kind of a country would you want your children to inherit? Where one that they have equal chances in healthcare, education, and all these things that would give them a chance to succeed, or a country whereby the social contract in itself lacks, where the basics of justice and rights are not based on a social contract that hold the people together, but are based on names and people. The Railas, the Rutos, the Gachagwas. So the most important thing I would really want us to think about is what does it mean to be a Kenyan? Because ukiamua, you're either, because a lot of people are just dividing themselves along the lines of politicians. You're either one term, ama two term, ama when Gen Z, but in reality, ni kama tunajiweka kama mifugo, whereby either mimi ni ng'ombe ya Raila, ama mimi ni kondoo ya Gachagua, ama mimi ni... Do you understand what I'm saying? Because we were not meant to be herded, nor were we born to be herded as animals. We were born with the ability to think and come up with solutions. But we have delegated our minds when it comes to national issues to those who we affiliate ourselves to, either our tribesmen or the best conman, the one who steals according to the way you would have stolen. So the reality of the matter and the issue we have at hand is not about having a protest or whatever. It's honestly, we need to restore our social contract amongst ourselves, whereby if it is me against Ruto in a court of justice, I am sure that if right is with me, I will get justice. If right is with him, he will get justice, regardless of the positions he holds in power. Kitu nyingine, and I will say this in Swahili, ndo tuelewane. You see, kutoka kuanzia Ruto, hapo juu, uteremke na hiyo wafanyakazi wote mpaka kwa MCA, your local MCA. All of them, they might walk around with cars and everything, but they are the most... Hawa ni watu hawawezi wakajiandika kazi. They literally come begging for jobs, for you to employ them. We should have this... When electing a leader, you should do an interview based kama vile unaandika mfanyikazi, because ni wafanyikazi. That's the truth of it. But once you turn your employee into a demigod and you start worshiping your employee, then wewe ndo mwenda wazimu, and there is no other way to define you. You're a mad person. So in reality, let us stop. Tunaweza kukua as philosophical as we want to be, but what does Kenya mean to us? What does it mean to be a Kenyan? These are the questions we're supposed to... What can we do to restore our social contract? Give people hope. Come up with a plan to ensure that in the next 20, 30 years, we have a physical and economical plan that even if I die, it's something bigger than me. It's a collective. And one thing we must also all... every maandamano tunaimbaga ngoma ya Eric Wainaina. Daima mimi Mkenya. Eric Wainaina says, hakika ya bendera ni uthabiti wangu. It is my stance and uthabiti wangu. It is my stance and my principles that give meaning to that flag. Because that flag, without my stance and my beliefs and my everything, it is but a piece of cloth. Na hiyo ni kitu lazima tukubaliane, that it is time we reclaimed being Kenyan and took pride in it. Regardless, na tuache kuangalia Kenya through the lens of your tribe. You do not have to be Somali to be Kenyan, or you have to be Jaluo then Kenyan, or Kikuyu then Kenyan. It can be the other way around. We can all be Kenyan, then we ukue kabila ile unataka kuwa, ile ulizaliwa, because either way you never chose it. But the truth is, for as long as we keep looking at national issues through the lens of your tribes and our tribes. We will forever be, it's basically going round. We will always be back here. So it is time we reclaimed our nationality. Let's go back to being Kenyan. Daima mimi Mkenya, mwananchi mzalendo. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for those remarks, Farah. And I think in your remarks, what you have done is reflect on this question of the imagination of an alternative future for Kenya, which quite a few speakers have done in different ways. There are those who have reflected on it in very material terms. What are the sort of social provisions we would have? What sort of education system would we have? What sort of healthcare system? What sort of employment opportunities? But you're also talking about something else, about the Kenyan identity, about the imagination, about the sort of superstructure on which Kenya is built. And I think this project of reimagining Kenya is one which I do not think we can rely on any of our current politicians to engineer. And this is a conversation that we need to have as Kenyans, even as we fight at this juncture, because we will keep repeating the same battles if we do not have a reimagination of what our country is
repeating the
and what we
same
stand for,
battles
and then build
if we
the
do
sort of
not
systems we
have
need
a
from that
reimagination
place, rather than
of
trying
what
to
our country
retrofit
is and what we
our
stand for,
ideas
and then
into systems that
build
are
the
already
sort of
made to
systems we
oppress us.
need from
And
that
on that note, I would like to invite
place,
Sam
rather than trying to retrofit
to make some
our
remarks
ideas
online.
into
Sam,
systems
please
that are
do.
already made
And
to
then
oppress
we will
us.
come back to Senator Omtatah to also respond to the speakers who have spoken so far. I see we are also just past 10 p.m. And it's good to see that there's still so much participation online. Sam, are you with us?
Sam, are you with us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah. First of all, I want to say thank you once again.
Thank you. Am I audible?
Been in this space before.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah. Very new. I had deactivated it earlier because of some reasons. So if you are here, just make sure that you follow somebody, 2 or 3. Somebody, 2 or 3. That one will be good. That one will be good. That one will be good. For systems are strong, and where the democracy has established itself, and he mentioned a country like USA, UK, Singapore, India. But what came to my mind, I never got a chance to ask him. In the favor of the citizens of Kenya. And remember, the objective of any government in any state is something that we call leadership sanity.
employment, in terms of healthcare, in terms of education, innovation and creativity. But look, it's a frame that has been there since the beginning of the foundation of Kenyan independence and other African countries. We were meant to believe that we cannot do anything without a favor or help from a foreign country. But look, we can. The failure comes from the leaders. Because when you look clearly in those developed countries, we have seen them talking about Singapore. We have seen them talking about Dubai, where a majority of the Kenyans, the politicians, when they steal money, they will go and invest it there. We have seen them talking about Qatar and many other countries. But I ask myself, are these countries built by aliens, led by NGOs? No. Those are the people who found the resources in their country, took the chance to use the resources available in their country in the right manner. They say to themselves, look, whatever we have found in this country, it is not for my family, it is not for myself, it is not for my friends, it is not for my neighbors, but it is for our citizens, our people, and everybody, regardless of their race, religion, or any political affiliation, must benefit from these resources. And that's why you can see we are advocating for the people to move from Kenya to work in Dubai, to work in Saudi Arabia. And what comes to my mind is, can we do that? Do we have people who can work as maids in Saudi Arabia? The beginning, and it is about bad leadership. And what we are agitating for as the Gen Zs, it is good leadership. Thank God, we have some of the leaders who have merit-oriented cards. We have Okia, we have Maraga, we have many others who have proven records that they can take this country to the right direction. And that we can accommodate them. We can accept them in our platforms to give us the directions ahead, because we need them as we propel to the better future of our nation. Again, just to reflect on some quotes from our president, please, I'm waiting up. Mamka, I know we are running out of time. The former president Uhuru Kenyatta said that Kenya was losing like 2 billion and he came as a whistleblower in a state where there is ESCC and many organs that are responsible in dealing with corruption. But the president himself came out and said, we are losing 2 billion every day. And when you tell somebody 2 billion, they will just assume 2 billion in a country, that's a very little. But now look, 2 billion, when you multiply it by 365, that is 1 year, and that's a very, get like 730 billions. And Uhuru took us through the pace of 10 years. So that's about 7.3 trillion. The budget of Kenya requires only 3 trillion and above to fund the economic status. So when you get 7.3 trillion that was stolen, and that number is just an approximate, it must be double or... So that amount alone could fund the budget of Kenya for 2.5 years without us paying any tax. And remember, we have like 6 decades. When you multiply that amount of money, which is approximate, by 6 decades, that's about 43. $8 trillion.
Sorry, your leg is kama Mamka anavyosema ni kwamba husikiki vizuri, tunaomba udrop, manake you're making a very important point. We'll give you an opportunity to land it.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yes, I'm back. I'm back. Let me continue.
Okay. Please land your point. It's a very important point.
Sure. Thank you. Interrupted by a call. I was talking about the amount of money that we are losing, which is approximate. So when you get 43.8 trillion divided by 3 trillion, which is actually the amount of money that we need to fund the budget of Kenya, you get like, I think 15 point something or 18 point something. So the economy of Kenya, it should be ahead by 15 years. If that amount of money was used in the right manner. But of money went to very few individuals' pockets. Some was touched in Switzerland. Some was used to build projects in Dubai to employ and develop the people of Dubai, but not in Kenya. Others investing in South Africa and many other parts of the world, but not in Kenya. So we are rooting up in a country where the political systems are failing us. And the reason, as I said before, is we tend to fail ourselves because we don't elect leaders based on their ethics and the merit. Bora mtu ako na suti, bora mtu ako na pesa, bora mtu anasikika is a leader. So we need to differentiate between a leader and a politician. And we need to understand that most of the politicians, especially in these are people who will take advantage of you. They will use you in any manner. And at the end of the day, every credit, everything goes to themselves. So we need to be very careful. There is an election ahead of us. We are required to register as voters. Tusikuwe tu tunabishana huku kwa Twitter, tunaongea huku kwa Twitter, na hakuna kitu cha muhimu tunafanya. Twende tu tujiregister as voters. Keep your ID ready. Come for you to make a decision to change Kenya. Please, let us not be slaves. Just go, vote for the right person, and Kenya will change. The time is coming, and we believe one day, one time, we will change our country. We will change our country.
Just allow me to. Thank you very much. Ojuang from Homa Bay was here and he made his point heard. And I would like him to get back as I make this announcement that in the coming week, we will have the burial of Boniface Mwangi Karaoke, who was shot at point blank range at Imenti House of July 2025. Boni's killers shall take plea at Milimani Law Courts. And we are urging all of you who mean well for this country, all those who would want to see an end to police brutality, to show up, purpose to attend court for moral support. And maybe that way, those involved will not feel like they are walking alone. There will be a candle lighting vigil that shall be held outside Imenti House on the 9th of July 2025. That is starting at 6:30 p.m. We laid Albert Ojwang to rest, and today he rests in power. The Gen Z spirit has urged that he does not actually rest, but that he continues the job he began until we have a fellow compatriot who is in a freezer at the KU Teaching and Referral Hospital, waiting to be rested. Kindly, if you can, take a moment to reflect on all those who have been extrajudicially executed, all those who are still missing, all those who tomorrow, God forbid, will be abducted, taken, reported as missing. People went to the streets 35 years ago to end these things that we are grappling with today. May it mean something to you, to the point that you actually take action. If you're not able to hit the streets, you know people who can support them. Mamka,
Thank you so much, Mudhiara, for for that statement on the fallen comrades. Before we continue, I do wonder though. Before I was going to hand the mic to Senator to make to respond to any of the points that have been made thus far. However, I think we might take one more from the speakers before we come back to him. There is someone who's been waiting online for a while. Hassan Kula, are you there? Hassan Kula? Okay, if Hassan is not there, I see there's a Hannah Ali. Are you there?
Oh, yes. Hello?
Yes, please go on.
Asante, thank you very much. I wanted to begin with saying Jambo, hello to everybody. And all a special thank you to Omtatah. Well, last week he kept us very worried. We were on our toes. We were on his pace while we got the news that he got shot in the hand. People around him got shot. And we were very worried. We took a moment of reflection. And this has to end. For me, my blood boils when I hear people saying, these leaders must go. They're not leaders. They're rent-seeking politicians. So you cannot call them leaders. You cannot put them in a place where Omtatah is. And very few you can count with your hands. So you can handful. They're not going to be even more than five. I doubt they can get to 10. And this is fundamentally what we are facing. For me, it has been a generational struggle, and the generation before is where Saba Saba began. Each generation is picking up from the next. Now, where are we heading? What do we want? What kind of Kenya do we want? And what is our aim? What is the struggle for? For me, I think it's not just about changing the person who's sitting on the throne. It's not about changing Ruto. No. For me, it's about changing the whole system. It doesn't make any difference if we elect people through the same system that is there, then we'll still continue having the same problem. We need to look into changing the system, draining the swamp, getting rid of all those politicians. Because for a long time, I think they've played Houdini and magic show on Kenyans. Ruto was there, and he was actually somebody who was put on the system by Moi after he finished university. And it's not only him. There are many of those kind of politicians who have been implanted and trained within the system until they get to the position that they ask. Why do they do this? They do this because they want a system that continues providing for these rent-seeking politicians even after they're out of the office. So I would urge everybody not just to think about wanting change. We want the president to go. We want so and so to go. This is not about individualistic. We need to actually say changed. We want to choose leaders, but not politicians. We want leaders who are actually leading by action, like the person who has opened this space, who are actually leading by action, actually like the person who has opened this space, who we've been actually on, who has literally done a lot of things, exposed a lot of things, who has put his life done a lot of things, exposed a lot of things. Omtatah, I can never put his life on the line, say enough, and show you my gratitude. And I think many Kenyans are in the same position. Enough and show you my gratitude. And I think many Kenyans are in the same position. For me, Saba Saba holds a lot of things. Those are the kind of leaders we want. But for me, Saba Saba holds a lot of things have actually achieved. But you've achieved a lot. Gen Zs do not actually achieve. Listen to the side you've achieved a lot. Do not these people are talking. Listen to the side shows that they are trying to make you lose faith. They do not lose faith. You've reached far. They are trying to make you lose faith. They do not lose faith. You've reached far for this cause. Otherwise, their blood would have they will be gone in vain for this cause. So we have to their blood would have they will be gone in vain. So we have to think there will be sacrifices. Endure some pain. Some of us through this revolution, but then it's a revolution that needs through this revolution. But then it's a revolution that needs provides for the many. We need a system. We need a Kenya that many provides for the many. We need a system that provides for the many. Somebody and not the few. Is it Pasaris talking about we need to bring this one of the is it Pasaris talking about we need to bring this places? No. Bill, so we are supposed to be concentrating on those kind of things. For me, it's so we are supposed to be people's attention from the real. For me, it's actually diverting from the real people's attention from the real, from what actually issues from the real and all of a sudden we can see there is news about a church being all of a sudden we can see there is news about a church being built right in the state house. Now, are we supposed to be discussing that? Right, no, it does not in the state house. They have already shown that they don't have empathy. It does not matter. They don't have sympathy. They have already shown that they don't have constitution. They don't have only become constitutionality using the constitution. But only become constitutionality. When so, but the rest of the time, the constitution does not matter. When they so, but the rest of the time, the constitution does not matter. When they when they're actually breaching our rights, constitution don't matter. When they're actually when they want to keep themselves safe, or they want something to, but when they want to actually keep themselves safe, not the or Kenyans, they want something to, then all of a sudden actually this constitution must. Not the constitution says this. The constitution says that. So there is no constitutionality that is being practiced by this government at the moment, but it's chaotic. So I would say go in numbers. Your strength is in numbers. Go in numbers. Be louder than. And thank you, Omtatah. And the two ladies.
This conversation and other conversations that happen online. There are those who locate problem of Kenya in individuals. They believe that it is this current crop of politicians. Is going to give an advantage to those who have money, especially those who have money that they have procured illegally. Where do you locate the problem, and how do you think Kenyans should be thinking about this ideologically as we go into Saba Saba tomorrow? Wanjira, are you with us? Okay, it looks like Wanjira is not with us, so I will pass that question to Senator Omtatah when he is closing in just a few minutes. But
Hi,
before
sorry,
that, I would
Mamka.
like...
Sorry, I just walked in. I'd gone to get a glass of water. I just walked in to asking you a question about ideology. Can you please come
Yes,
again, please?
let me repeat the question. Various speakers today and have spoken, have located the problem that we're facing as Kenya in two different, in different ways. There are those who locate it in individuals. They say the problem is Ruto, the problem is this crop of politicians, the problem is Oscar Sudi, and these other band of thieves who are leading the country. And there are those who locate it in the system. There are systems set up such as ours, a system that has been inherited from the colonial era, a system that vests so much power in the presidency, a system that incentivizes the use of money in politics, is a system that is always going to give you leaders who behave the same way. How do you think about this, and what do you think should be the ideological framework that we are working with as we go into Saba Saba tomorrow?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good question in that it seeks clarity for us to understand what really our big primary contradictions in the society are. And in all honesty, the primary contradiction right now is that we are still a neo-colonial state. We are still not yet a liberated country, even though we do have our flag independence, even though we did have independence in quote from the British in 1963. The British still hold 60% of the Kenyan economy, and the other 40% is held by the comprado bourgeoisie. So the politics of this country are tied to the hip by the economics of this country. At the end of the day, it is a war to protect their material conditions, these comprado bourgeois. This is why they go for leadership positions, because they have made leadership to be a position to loot as much land they can. They have made it a position to align themselves with the sworn enemies of this country, who are the imperialists, who are the British, who are these foreign nationals who seek to continue exploiting us, to continue taking our land, to continue taking our minerals, to continue subjugating us as a country. So we have to deal with this crop of leadership first, so that we can dismantle this entire system that has been built on lies, that has been built on lying to Kenyans about their history, on lying to Kenyans about the role of imperialism, the role of these international institutions, the role of Pan-Africanism even. So we have to be able to deal with this cabal of leaders, to remove them from power so that we can dismantle this whole system and start afresh. We create another system, and I honestly think our ancestors had a really good system of a council of elders, which had collective leadership, which had consensus, which people had to earn to get a seat at that position. And I think neocolonialism really messed our politics, because they made us inherit their system of governance and disregard everything about our African systems and start aping them. So I think it is fundamentally a question about getting off the neocolonial system, which is not a walk in the park, which is why we must band together as the progressive forces of this country, dismantle this current leadership of looters, of greedy people, of murderers, of thieves who are in bed with the imperialists, so that we can then overhaul this entire system. And I agree with Senator when he said, perhaps the liberation of the continent is going to start in Kenya, but we have to make ourselves a republic first. We have to ascertain our sovereignty. We have to be able to tell Batuk to leave our land. No foreign nationals are allowed. We know that they are mining minerals. We know they are raping our women, and there's no repercussions. Agnes Wanjiru, her case was in 2012. The other day, the ambassador of UK to Kenya was talking about, we are doing everything we can to make sure justice is had. We're doing our best. We're in 2025. These guys, at the end of the day, we are going to have to dismantle all of these things that we know to be the functioning international system of the world right now. We have to ascertain that this is our land. This is how we want to govern ourselves. This is how we want to dignify our people. This is how we want to teach our history. This is how we want to teach literature and to raise our people.
Thank you.
Mamka, I
Thank
hope
you
I
so
have
much.
answered you.
Yes, you have. Thank
Mamka,
you
would
so
you
much.
give me just 1 minute to actually just chime in? 1 minute, please.
Sure.
Thank you. Actually, I just wanted to a little bit push the Wanjiki what she said, the co-host, and actually Kenyans, we need to open our eyes because it's two tier levels. Okay, the first level is about these politicians who actually make sure they put somebody. The voice is coming back to me, Mamka.
Yeah,
I
we can
think
hear you,
you're.
Anna. You do have
No,
a bit.
I hear a echo. I have an echo. I think your speaker was open. I'm not sure. So there's two tiers. Somebody like Ruto, we can see he has been somebody who was actually sort of uh, put there on purpose. He has been mentored to be what he is by previous leaders. So most of these politicians make sure they have somebody in the system who will continue, even when they're long gone out of the system, that it will continue to provide for them. That is one layer. Now, the second layer is where the neo-colonialism come from, and I'm very sad that she said the UK the UK ambassador said gave an empty promise. After that, all this cry. After that, documentary was aired. Believe you me, if Ruto and his all entourage were not actually working for the West and working for the colonials, they would have got him out of office completely long time ago. Why is he still there? Ask yourself. When a leader like Ibrahim Traore, they have attempted to do everything they can to get him out of the leadership. We have seen this in as Africans in prior histories, where people like Gaddafi were taken out of, where people like Sankara, and so on and so forth. So anybody, Kenyans, when you see that the West is looking away and the people's cry is getting louder, and people out there's documentaries out there showing all these things that are happening, and nobody's lifting a hand. Remember, they've got their poster boy there in the office. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hannah, and
threshold of poverty. Because if we are able to control the poverty levels in our country, we'll still go back to the same problems. We clean the house from top. We have to clean it from the grassroots, from the MCAs. If you don't have anything, they will not even stand there to speak to you. So if we can get mechanism, and that is why right now, as we see, they have really raised the taxes in our country, making private sector null and void. So many strategies, in as much as we are here talking, we are pained by the matters that are going on in the government right now. We have to always remember the government is already, and from my point, I have been working on something about tracking individuals, and I found watches that conducted. The first thing that will happen is that they will tell you to remove that watch. Immediately your watch goes off today. This is just something that we have started, and it will keep on going forward. So as we move forward, as we are all here, let us start looking for strategies. Let us start finding solutions that will be able to move us forward as a people, that will be able to help us solve the problems that we already have at hand. And even tomorrow when people go for Saba Saba, talking about those
just begun. We are just picking up where our elders left off. I would like to give the opportunity to Republic of Gen Z. Are you with us?
Okay, can you hear
Yes, we
me?
can hear you.
bodies are dumped in rivers, forests, where we also have seen waters. So where are the missing Kenyans? Family deserve answers, and we must demand open investigation and protection for whistleblowers. So we must demand quality, accessible, and affordable health care for all. I'll also talk about threatening the young or the future of young Kenyans. So we must invest in education now or risk. Also, lastly, maybe I'll talk of the leadership accountability. So then there must be freedom of expression, whereby the shrinking civic space is unacceptable. Citizens must freely voice their concerns without fear. Then youth people must rise to shape up the nation's future. We are not just the leaders of tomorrow, we are leaders today. And another thing I'd like to remind all the Gen Zs who are here that you are not too young to lead. So let us take votes. Let us go to the ballot and do something that maybe can shape up our country, Kenya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for keeping your remarks brief. Maura Robert, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. And thank you, yeah, for the opportunity. Yeah. Me, I would just to say something very quick. And those people who are in business, entrepreneur, those who companies, if your company is not doing very well, or if you want to buy a company that's not doing very well, what you do, you hire some people you call turnaround experts. They come, they study the company, what is the problem, the sales or the marketing is not doing good, the production does. They compare a report and then they give you this report. Then you implement that report accordingly, and then the company starts making profit or such. It's a very important document. Now, I myself am somebody who has done such kind of report because I see Kenya as a company that has completely collapsed. Hii nchi yetu imekufa kabisa. So I will pick an example like a turnaround expert, and I've seen one of the key things that in my report I can highlight is disrespect of the constitution. Hatuheshimu katiba. We don't respect our constitution. Somebody here has just said that we deal with the issue of poverty. Do you know if we are respecting our constitution, the issue of poverty could have been done away with? Yes, there's poor will always be with us, but at least we could have fully minimized the corruption. The kind of people we are having here in office right now, 90% could not be in office if we are respecting our constitution. And to go back to where it all started in 1963, when our founding father, Babu Ataifa, Jomo Kenyatta, when he took over the reins of power from the British, he put a system in place office, but the people did what they did. And for those some people, because they are tribal mentality and such, they voted for these people so that they can evade the justice at ICC. And if you look at one mark, two things of Uhuru government was one, corruption, and number two, total violation of the constitution. So Uhuru and Ruto has entered the history books of Kenya as the people who did the massive corruption since we got independence, and a kind of a role or try to use the judge to kick this person out. You remember when Auditor General Robert Edward Ouko questioned the 2.5 billion euro board that Uhuru to store. You know, Uhuru wanted to kick him out of in an constitutional matter. I'm glad that Omtatah is here, is one who saved him by going to court, and that one already remained in office. So the problem we are having as a country today is we don't respect the constitution. If we respect the constitution, every cent could be properly being used. The governors could be doing what they are doing with their money. The government could do what they are doing. Supposed to do with their money. Anybody who is caught around this messing with taxpayers' money could be put in jail, and that one will deter others from doing the same. So until we fix the issue of respecting the constitution, nothing is going to work in Kenya. But we do that by putting leaders of integrity and character in office. If we don't do, if we still go on tribal cocoons and vote people based on our tribe and this, I can guarantee you Kenya is corrupting more and more. And finally, way forward, what we think the new government should do. Because look here, if in Kenya we get it right in just 2 areas. Number one, we minimize corruption. 90% of the unemployment that is in Kenya can be done away with. Our youth can get job, and everything can be done in a very good and a very proper way. So I would like Omtatah and others, you arrange a space here. There are people, a lot of people with the experience, so we can come and we can say what we would like to say, or what we would like to see it being done, and people are ready to support you. If you can do, you can go there, and we have a new Kenya. But until and unless we have people of integrity occupying state house, occupying cabinet position and such, I can guarantee you Kenya is going to continue seeking deep. The reason as to why we have a lot of taxes now, somebody has said, is because
unfortunately we're coming up to the top of the hour, so I'm going to have to.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me stop there.
You've made some really good points. Just because we have them on Bon I and Boncam, I'll give you each just 30 seconds. If you are on, are you on Bon I?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I've been really waiting here. I'm burning, and
go for it.
I don't really understand why you people are speaking of one thing and the same thing every time, every now and then. Saba Saba, it is a daily thing. Saba Saba is not only tomorrow. Saba Saba is a daily thing until we accomplish what we want. What we want a good nation. We want a nation that follows the constitution. Why is it that you people, you still think that we have to go to 2027? What do you think? Raila had Uhuru, but Ruto stole that election. What do you think will change in 2027? You people, you are sleeping. Every day we should fight and fight to know what we want. We need everyone here, whether you have 2 followers or 3 followers or 5 followers, let us see on your timeline every morning when you wake up. We want to see the name of Omtatah and Justice Maraga. Those are the people that we want them to change the nation. Then after that, why are we concentrating with these types from the people in government and the fake media houses? They are telling us about the church. What are you going to do about the church? We asked Ruto June 2024 to sack all these CSS, but this guy doesn't hear. He is not advised by anyone. What do you think that you are going to tell him to stop building that church? Let's not even concentrate on that church because we are not even interested with Ruto. We are not interested with this group of leaders. It is only that we stop concentrating with that nonsense and we build what we want to build. Look at this. I want to challenge all of us. Gachagua started his journey. Now Gachagua is the talk of the town. Why are we giving such people now? Gachagua is on the old order. These are the people who are brought up by Moi regime, and we know them. And I'm very sad that Kibaki did us dirty. Kibaki refused to jail Moi. Kibaki refused to reclaim what Moi had stolen. And Kibaki refused to every day msiume na kupuliza, hakuna kubembelezana. These people are not following because tuchafue TL ndio wale watu wako kwa natumia lugha mbaya, lakini that is the Kenya we want. Wacheni niwaambie, don't utusi juu tuna pass under a very hard struggle. Watu wanajinyonga. Who will do that? Every day is a Saba Saba day. Wacha tusichafue jina Okiya, Omtatah na Maraga. Wacha wao wakae pale.
Second. That is a very fiery closing for for what has been a really exciting session. And I would like to hand back.
Indeed, we have explored if it's possible. Imagine a new Kenya, and I'm really honored that we were respectful in our deliberations. We started on a high. This is a gentleman whom many had called as dead. Before he actually died because of the journey, and on the 11th of July 2025, Boniface will I we've heard that the military has been put on standby. Remember, Kenyans generally are unarmed, and when they come kuwa makini, tembea na wengine. If you're able to document the going on of the day, you do so. Defend the soul wote mpiganie taifa letu la has been true, but again, let
our solutions. I think it was Robert. Our solutions are in the constitution.